Okay, we have two more things we need to configure for this dashboard to start publishing as much data as we are displaying. One is going to be your inbound calls. So we're going to navigate over to Controls, Settings, and Voice. Here we're going to set up a call forwarding line or a call tracking line. This is helpful for your paid advertising campaigns. This is also helpful for maybe you want to put a tracking line on your website, Google My Business, wherever you want to put this line at. This will track as an inbound call to your marketing efforts. So first step, again, once you come into Voice, you're going to click over here on Add Voice button, and you're presented with several different options. The first option is Call Forward. Second option is IVR. IVR is a voice prompt. If you're going to press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. And VoIP line is where you're going to make inbound and outbound calls. Call forwarding, call tracking line, this is only for inbound lines, and this is the only line type that's tied to your marketing dashboard. So I'm going to make sure call forward is selected. You have an option of choosing local or a toll-free line if you're in the US or Canada. If you're in Australia and you want a mobile line, you can do that. There is an option for local lines, and just depending on your country, you can kind of go through here and figure out what lines are available in our inventory. But for US and Canada, you can do local or toll-free. In this case, I'm going to do a toll-free line. I have an option of selecting these extensions, so I'm just going to do 877. I'm also going to apply this to my workspace. If you're not using workspaces, don't worry about it. And then click the Find Numbers button. This is going to bring in all the numbers that are available. One thing to note, I'll say this on the other videos when we set up VoIP and IVR, this will tell you the line type. In this case, these are voice-only lines. Even though I'm setting them up as call forward, you actually can't use these for SMS or making outbound calls. You can with voice if it's set up with VoIP, but for call forwarding lines, it's only for inbound calls. So I'm going to go ahead and select this line and hit activate. So what this is doing is actually activating this line for you. It's going to show up in this table. At this point, you can either click here on the number or come in here on the edit icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the number. So here you're also presented with multiple options. One, your forwarding line. This is going to be the line that this number is going to forward to. So this can be a VoIP line in the system. This can be to an IVR line in the system. This can be to your cell phone. This can be to your corporate line. Doesn't matter. It goes to any line, but the format is always going to be country code and the number with no dashes or spaces. So in this case, this is a US number. I'm going to forward it. So I put the 1 in front, 1-800-288. I'm actually just putting in AT&T's number here so we can just test and have some information here. So this is forwarding, so that means any phone call that we make to this number is going to forward to this number, but it's going to track that call in our marketing dashboard. It's also going to track that in our call activities, and it's also going to record the call. Now you can disable recording if you're in a country or state that you're not able to record calls. You can check this, turn this on, enable this, and it will disable any call recording that happens. Whisper is useful if you want to add an alert to the inbound call. Maybe you're setting up call forwarding for a client and you want that client to know that it's coming from your agency at marketing efforts. Or maybe you have multiple call forwarding lines and you want to know right away, hey, this is coming from my Google ad at such and such. You can type whatever you want in here and it'll prompt you before you answer the call, this whisper message. And then to press 1 to answer the call. So the Google Analytics tracking ID, this is if you want to track inbound calls from Google Analytics. All you do is simply put your Google Analytics tracking ID in here, and every call will be recorded as an event, as a phone call. So that way you can then look at all your traffic and add a behavior event, such as phone calls, so you can compare those reports. Or if you want to track additional metrics into some other integration you have Google with, you can add the tracking ID and it'll send that event over, and then you can send that event to some other system. And then this allows you to transfer to any other user. So for instance, if you've set up lines and then you add users and you want to transfer those over to another user, you can do that. But in this case, all I need to do is set up my forwarding number, and now this line is available to call. So at this point, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to place a phone call to this number, and it's going to forward to this AT&T number, and I'll show you how to access that in the reports. Okay, I successfully placed a phone call that forwarded over to AT&T with my forwarding number here. So now I'm going to show you where that data ends up. So one, it shows up now in your dashboard. So now you have an inbound call, right? Because this is a call forwarding line, and so this is designed to track your marketing efforts. Not to further go too much into that, but again, if you have a VoIP line that you're doing outbound sales calls, you don't want those call numbers showing up inside your report dashboard. You only want to use call forwarding lines on your sites or your advertising purposes. That way, all of your marketing efforts can be related to your conversion rates as far as how many phone calls you receive, right? So total visits, total calls is affecting my conversion rate here, right? So inbound activity, this is going to show you all the inbound activity based on the date range that you have selected. In addition to that, you can come over here under Activity Box and click on the Calls tab. And this will show you basically a log of everything that's going on with your calls. So you can run reports here as well individually. You can export these results. You can swap or switch or filter between lines. You can filter between all calls, inbound calls, or outbound calls. And then of course you have the recording that you can listen to. In addition to that, you can then add this call as a lead. So I can click this number right here after I listen to it. Maybe they provided their information on a voicemail, or maybe you're listening to a call that somebody, spoken to somebody. You can quickly come in here, and as you progress further into these training videos, you'll hear a lot about data forms. In this case, I could select no data form and then put the information in and hit create. This will actually create a lead in the CRM. So further down the line, you'll see how to convert these into leads, actual leads into your CRM. But every activity that happens with all of your lines show up here. And in the marketing dashboard, this is where you're going to see the stats specifically for call forwarding lines that are either in all workspaces or in that specific workspace that you have set up.